Welcome back to another edition of Arizona Wildcats Insiders Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Hutchison, and we are getting closer to the start of the 2025-2026 college basketball season. Arizona comes in number 13 in the country in the preseason AP poll. In the coaches poll for the Big 12, the Wildcats were picked to finish fourth in that. I know the media poll is coming out soon. I picked Arizona to finish third in my media poll voting. I have them behind Texas Tech and Houston, who I think are just a little bit above the rest of the conference. The Wildcats welcome back a lot, though. Jaden Bradley at point guard, who I think is one of the best point guards in the country. You have Toby Awaka, who I think is one of the best rebounding bigs in the country. Anthony Del Rosso, who's going to be a good outside shot presence and a good spark offensively. And then you have the unknown in terms of Mo Krivas. It's a big unknown. We'll see how he's doing from his injury last season that cost him a whole entire year. His freshman season, he didn't look very mobile. He looked good at times, and then once he got into the conference play, he looked robotic. And then last year, he looked okay, but then he gets hurt. He suffered the same injury that he had during the offseason. It got re-aggravated, and so he had to sit out the whole entire year. Now, that's a lot coming back for Arizona, but they're missing Caleb Love. That's the leading scorer the last two seasons for Arizona. Caleb Love has been one of the best scoring guards in the country, so that's a big loss. KJ Lewis, yes, he was streaky offensively. I get it. He would turn over the basketball, sometimes score, and then be ice cold from the three-point line. I get it. He's very shaky offensively, but he was one of the better rebounding guards/forwards, and he was an elite defender. In my opinion, last season, for most of the year, he was the best defensive player in the Big 12 for most of the season. Then Carter Bryant emerged in the Big 12 tournament and in the NCAA tournament. And by the end of the year, Carter Bryant was the best defensive player in the country. That's why he went so high in his draft stock. Now that brings us to Carter Bryant. He has moved on from Arizona. He was the 14th overall pick to the San Antonio Spurs. He's getting ready for the NBA season while the NBA season's here. You know, he's had his moments so far his rookie year, and that's a lot of losses for Arizona. And that's not even mentioning Henry Vasar, who transferred to North Carolina. KJ Lewis went to Georgetown. Henry Vasar goes to North Carolina. I know the coaching staff really wanted Vasar back, but, with the way of NIL and the way of everything works today, North Carolina came in, swooped in, stole Henry Vasar, and he is now a Tar Heel. Henry's probably going to be a lottery pick, so that's a big-time loss for Arizona there too. However, you have a nice core four coming back, and you have the nation's number 2 recruiting class in the country that features 2 5-star recruits and Koa Pete, who's phenomenal, and Braden Burries, who's severely underrated. Again, I know he's a 5-star recruit. I get it. 5-star, hey, how can you be underrated? You can, because he should have been a top 10 recruit. The kid is phenomenal, has scoring instincts, great guard instincts, and he is coming in that recruiting class as well. Not to mention, Dwayne Arstow has looked really good. I know he's coming off of the injury, and that's probably why he didn't last as a 5-star recruit, but he was on his way to being a McDonald's All-American, so that's a very good recruit there. And then one of my favorite recruits in this recruiting class is Ivan Kursankov. Again, I'm not pronouncing it right. I do apologize. I'll get that right by the end of the season. But Ivan has been very good. He looked really strong. Again, that is the German/Russian international recruit who has played major pro basketball overseas, has gone up against 25, 27, and 30-year-olds. So he's been around tough-nosed basketball, and he looks the part of 6'7" and 220 pounds. Now, Arizona's wrapped up its non-conference. What I like to call not non-conference, but its preseason slate. The 2 exhibition games. Again, this season, you can finally start playing D1 opponents. Arizona played St. Mary's, and then they played Embry-Riddle. They were trying to play an international team, but however, the NCAA declined their request to play Team Mexico for whatever, God knows what reason. In those 2 games, Arizona looked pretty good against St. Mary's. That's a tough NCAA opponent. They're going to be a team that's in the round of 32 looking to get to a Sweet 16. They're going to win 25-plus games in the West Coast Conference. They're going to compete with Gonzaga for a West Coast Conference title, and they're going to get to a West Coast Conference tournament championship game. That is a very good St. Mary's team. And Arizona was able to not hammer them or anything like that, but control the game. They won by 13, 81-68. They got a great scoring performance by Brandon Burries. They got a great rebounding performance by Mo Krivas. But that's what you need to do against a team like that you might face in the second round. That is a possible second round matchup for Arizona, and not an easy one. They like to slow it down. They like to make you play gritty and grimy, and they like to make you play their way. To score 81 points against them, very impressive. Again, that's going to be a different St. Mary's team by the time the tournament rolls around. Same for Arizona. It's going to be a different Arizona team by the time the tournament rolls around. Now, as you look at the two games, the three things that I've been most impressed with, or what I've learned, let's say that, because one of them I was not impressed with, but what I learned. Number one, Arizona's three-point shooting. Ooh, man. Anthony Del Rosso went 1 for 7 in the two games. Didn't take any against Emory Riddle. I know it's short sample size, and I'm sure Anthony will be fine. He shot around 47% last year, but he only took around 2 to 3 3-point shots per game last year. He's going to need to fire up more. And who's the other one? Is it Yvonne? Is it Aristode? Is it Jaden Bradley, who's been working on his 3-point shot? You got to find another 3-point guy that can help you out and relieve some pressure on the offense. We'll see how that emerges. Right now, I don't see Arizona having that guy. Maybe Braden Burries. That's another option at the 3-point line. But they got to develop another consistent 3-point shooter to help Anthony out a little bit at the 3-point line and to help the offense just spread the ball. I know Toby Awaka's been working on a 3. You don't want to see that. You don't want to see him taking too many threes. Krivas can shoot a 3. You don't want to have him be your second-best 3-point shooter. You need to have somebody develop, and we'll see how Arizona goes along this season. And through the non-conference, again, they start, boom, with Florida right off the bat. So let's see how they develop that throughout the non-conference, and let's see where the chips lie come conference play, because last year, Arizona had a very underwhelming non-conference slate, but turned it up. They learned from their mistakes. They got gritty and had an amazing conference season, finished third in a very tough Big 12, got to a Big 12 championship game. That was a gritty, tough Arizona team by the time the tournament rolled around. So number 2 is rebounding. Part of toughness, part of grit, in my opinion, is rebounding. Not only offensive rebounds, but defensive rebounds, just total rebounds in general. And when you look at Mo Krivas, who had 17 rebounds in the first game against St. Mary's, again, Toby Awaka didn't play in that game with a little bit of a bang up, but he's fine, ready to go. And a guy like Toby Awaka, who is a walking double-double for Arizona last season, they have elite bigs in terms of rebounding the basketball. Now, my question is, Caleb Love was one of the better rebounders on the team last season. Who's going to be that guard to step up? I think it could be Jaden Bradley that steps up there. And who's going to be the forwards? Because you had KJ Lewis, who's a good rebounder. You had Carter Bryan, who's a very good rebounder. Can Aristode or Yvonne step up as rebounders? I think that's going to be a big question mark this season. I still see Arizona as a top 10 rebounding team. They've been pretty much a top 10, top 5 rebounding team every single season that Tommy Lloyd's been here. I don't think it's going to be any different. Arizona's going to live and die in the paint this year. And then lastly, we talked about it a little bit. Braden Burries, man, that dude is the fucking real deal. He's the real deal. Excuse my language, but man, he is fun to watch. He's a straight up hooper. And I think that's the biggest compliment you can give somebody is that they're a straight hooper. They're just a baller. And that's Braden Burries. You know, he's very efficient. He scored, let's see here. Oh, I got Ivan's numbers. Sorry. But he was very efficient from the field in both games, scored over 20 points the one game and over 10 points the next game. I see him as one of the leading scorers of this Arizona basketball team, and I think he could beat you from the three-point line. He could beat you from the mid-range, and he can attack the hoop. I think he's a complete package offensively. Does he still have developing to do? 100%. But as he develops, as he gets better and becomes more of a combo guard, because he is a shooting guard, but I think he could be a combo guard, and I see himself as a combo. I see him as a combo guard at the next level. I think you're looking at a potential lottery pick here. So we'll see how he develops, but I think he's going to lead the team in scoring around 14, 15 points per game, and he's going to be one of the better freshmen in the Big 12. He might be my sleeper pick for Big 12 Freshman of the Year. Yes, I know BYU has an amazing freshman, but he might be my sleeper pick. I'd go with the BYU guy right now, but I think Braden Burries might be a sleeper pick for Big 12 Freshman of the Year. We'll have to see, but please be sure to follow us, Arizona Wildcats on SI. Follow our Twitter account at Arizona Wildcats on SI, or follow me, Troy Hutchison at THutch1995, and we'll see you next time.